Hi everyone, we're back in Chapter 3, Physiology and Histology of the Skin. And in this section 3-9, we're going to discuss the factors influencing your skin's health. So in order to survive, your cells need important elements: nourishment, protection, the ability to function properly through respiration, circulation, elimination of waste, and the continual replacement or proliferation. So just think of us. We are nothing but cells, and we need all of that in order to survive. So, skin health and the aging of our skin are both influenced by many different factors. And I put those up here: hereditary, sun exposure, environment, healthy habits, nutrition, and our general lifestyle. Okay, so the next section we're going to talk about is the immune system and the skin. Our immune system is a really complex defense mechanism, and it protects our body from foreign substances. Our immune system is activated when antigens, foreign invaders, are identified. Antibodies are the molecules formed to fight and neutralize the bacteria, the viruses, and the antigens. And so here is an antibody. They're a Y-shaped protein molecule, and what they do is they cling on to the virus or the bacteria, whatever, and they alert the immune system, and it will come and attack. Langerhans cells, T cells, and lymphocytes are part of our immune cells, our immune system. So here we see pathogens entering into the skin, and then here is an immune cell taking the bacteria or whatever it is down into here where the T cells will go ahead and attack and get rid of that foreign invader. So Langerhans cells, do you remember those from the previous slides? Or sections, I should say. Langerhans are the star-shaped immune cells. They are dendritic cells. They live mainly in the stratum spinosum is where they live. They can be in other parts of the skin, but they're mainly in that area. And what they do is they work to absorb, process, and carry the antigens to the nearest lymph nodes for further immune system action. Okay, so another part of our immune system is the leukocytes. Leuko means white, cyte means cell, and they're white blood cells. And they have these enzymes to digest and kill bacteria and other parasites. So here I put, these are the 5 types of leukocytes. And here I put granular and agranular. The granular ones here are the ones that have those really powerful enzymes. This neutrophil is, it contains proteins called defensins, and they're antimicrobial. Another thing is when you go to the doctor and they draw your blood, they always check the neutrophil count. Neutrophils are really small immune cells, and yet they have a really fast response. So they're usually the first offenders, or the first ones when your body is offended by bacteria or whatever, viruses. So they're the first ones on site. Now, the white blood cells, there's another type here. You see this lymphocyte? Well, a T cell is a type of lymphocyte, and it plays an important role in our immune system by attacking virus-infected cells, I should say, because a virus, what it does is it gets inside of your cells, has to have a host to live. So it gets in the cell and it hijacks the cell, taking over our parts in the DNA to replicate its own viral armies. So anyway, the T cells, they help with that, and they also help with cancer cells that are produced, because we do produce cancer cells every day, and our immune system takes that out. Now, T cells got their name from where they mature. They started in the bone marrow, but then they mature in the thymus gland, which is about right in this area. And there are additional components to our immune system, and they protect our body from foreign substances. So here you can see the T cell, you see the mast cells, they're a big player in inflammation. And then the B cells, the plasma cells, neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils, and then macrophages, natural killer cells. The eosinophils, those ones are the ones when you have a parasitic, when your body's got worms or whatever, they're the ones that come in and take care of that. Okay, so our skin's capacity to heal, fight infection, and protect itself, it's pretty amazing what our body can do. Okay, so now we're going to go into skin nourishment. So blood and lymph, those are the fluids that nourish our skin. We have networks of arteries and lymphatics, and they send essential materials for growth, repair, and whatever throughout the body. Now, vitamins, minerals, water, and other nutrients, that's all needed for the skin's health. So the blood supplies all that plus oxygen. And so here you can see this is the arterial leading to the capillary beds. And these release, the red side releases oxygen, water, nutrients, vitamins, all the things the cell needs to survive. And these are the little cells you can see back here in the background. You see the nucleus of them. And so then once it releases that fluid, most of that fluid goes back in on the venous side, and it goes up towards the heart and dumps in there. But interwoven in here, we have these lymphatic capillaries, and they're in green. And they pick up the fluid leaked from the blood vessels. So most of the fluid goes to these cells, and then again those cells release their toxins like carbon dioxide and other metabolic toxins. They'll release that into here, but most of the fluid goes there due to a protein plasma called albumin and osmotic pressure. But then 2% approximately goes into the lymph capillaries. Okay, and they're very permeable. Here's one. You can see they have these little mini valves right here. And so that allows for even larger proteins, bacteria, and viruses to enter. Now, once they enter, they take them up to these lymph nodes, and it follows the venous side and dumps the fluid back into the heart. But these lymph nodes are full of white blood cells in there. And so that's how that works. And you guys have a photo in your textbook on the lymph system. Lymph, what it is it's a clear fluid of the body, and it resembles blood plasma, but it contains colorless corpuscles, and it bathes the skin cells, and it removes toxins, cellular waste, and it has a lot of immune functions that protect our skin and our body from disease. And we have these networks of arteries and lymphatic vessels in the subcutaneous tissue, and they send their smaller branches up to the dermal papillae and the follicles and the skin's glands. Okay, so we're going to go into cell protection. So the health of our skin cells depends on cellular membrane and the water holding capacity of our stratum corneum. So phospholipids, glycolipids, cholesterol, triglycerides, squalene, waxes, those are all different types of lipids found in the stratum corneum layers. The intercellular lipids and proteins, they surround and provide protection, hydration, and nutrition to the cells. Ceramides, they're a waxy lipid molecule, such as a glycolipid, and they're very important to the barrier function and the water holding capacity. Did you know that 50% of the lipids in your stratum corneum are actually ceramides? Fatty acids, those are also a component of the intercellular substances. Lipids are reduced if our skin is dry, damaged, or mature. Topical products that contain peptides, hyaluronic acid, ceramides, and other lipids, they benefit our skin and that is damaged from both intrinsic and extrinsic aging. Now these products, what they do is they expedite the regenerative processes of our body, and they do promote healing. So as we perform exfoliation, that depletes those lipids. So we need to do topical reapplication. That's very necessary to balance what was lost in the exfoliation process. And then cell recovery, that depends also on water. We need the water to help our cells function properly. So drinking water and keeping your skin hydrated is essential to the health of our cells. Okay, so we're going to go into cell replacement. Now, your body replaces billions of cells every day. Organs like your heart and your liver and your kidneys, those are replaced every 6 to 9 months. But your bones, the cells of your bones, those are replaced every 7 years. Collagen and elastin, those are not easily replaced by our body. And our skin does not regain its once pliable shape after being stretched and damaged by the UV radiation and environmental pollutants. But there is a lot of research. Here's the good side to it. We know that vitamin A, your retinols, and your alpha hydroxy acids, alpha lipoic acid, and other growth factors, they stimulate the skin cells. They increase cell turnover, and they reduce the visible signs of aging. And we do know that regular cell turnover is necessary to keep our skin healthy. Okay, so now we're going to talk about sun damage. So the sun and the ultraviolet electromagnetic radiation has the greatest impact on how our skin ages. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, ultraviolet radiation is a proven carcinogen, meaning cancer-causing. So 90% of cancers are caused from UV radiation. Only 10% is genetic. So the ultraviolet exposure, what it does is it alters the DNA, and it can cause skin cancer. So here I put on the board, here is the DNA, and you have guanine, sorry, I couldn't think. Guanine goes to cytosine, adenine binds with thymine. And that is part of your genetic coding. And so what happens when the sun comes into the skin, so I'm going to put a sun here with its UV radiation. So when those UV rays come in, they break these hydrogen bonds in the nucleus of the cell. And what it does is it takes two thymines and binds them together, causing a kink or a bubble in the DNA, in the double helix. So here I have a picture to show you. So here you can see the two adenines bind with thymine, and what happens is it causes a kink or a bubble in the double helix, and these two thymines end up binding together. They're pyrimidines, and what they do is they'll bind together, and then that causes mutation in the genetic coding. So when cells divide and they read that codon, it's not correct, and that causes cancer. So also the UV rays, I put here the UV rays, they increase our aging from the sun. So what they do is they break down again the collagen and elastin. And our aging is 80 to 85% due to sun. And here 15% that you can see, that is what we call intrinsic aging, and that's hereditary. And there is nothing you can do for hereditary, of course, but that's only 15%. So when you think about it, 80 to 85% of our aging is caused by the sun. That is preventative. You can wear your sunscreen, wear protective clothing, hats, stay out of direct sunlight. Apply your sunscreen 30 minutes prior to going outside, and then every hour to hour and a half. So you can prevent a lot of your aging just by doing that. Now, as we age, unfortunately, collagen, elastin, fibers do naturally weaken. So we lose 1% from in your mid-20s on. You lose 1% of collagen per year. But that's naturally. But if you're out in the sun exposure will increase that dramatically. Okay, so UV reaches the skin in 3 different forms. We have UVA, UVB, and UVC. So C is usually blocked from the ozone, but there is man-made through welding torches, and then they do have UV light bulbs. And then there's the UVB and the UVA. So it reaches our skin in different forms. Now, cell damage is cumulative, and photo damage from the sun, that causes photoaging. And I put this word up here, photo means light, so that you could remember that. So that causes pigment dysfunctions and rhytids, sagging, collagen elastin deterioration, and of course skin cancer, all from the UV radiation. So we're going to talk about each of those rays. We're going to start with the UVA. And the UVA is known as aging, and 95% of the UV rays is UVA. So right here. And they're the ones that reach the earth mostly. They're really long wavelengths. I'm going to show you here. They are the longer wavelengths, and they penetrate deeper into the skin, so they go down into the dermal tissue. And that's why they say A for aging, because collagen and elastin reside here, so they break down the collagen and elastin. And I think of it as this. If you took a piece of embroidery thread, let's say it's purple, and I say stick that piece of thread, maybe it's this long, and we stick it on the dash of our car. And we do that in the spring, and then in the late fall, we grab that. What do you think that's going to look like? Well, those fibers are going to be all broken down. They'll break very easily. The color may have changed. And so think of that. That's what the sun is doing to the collagen and elastin in your skin. And the UVA rays, they do penetrate through glass and through the clouds. And we do know that the UVA rays, when they penetrate through glass, are even stronger. And UVA is present all year long, and it is more prevalent than the UVB. So now we're going to take a look at the UVB. And one thing I do want to, before we go into that I did skip, I do want to talk about when we measure the UVA rays, they're measured in nanometers from 320 to 400 nanometers. So that's the measurement of them. So now we're going to go into the UVB. And those are also called the burning rays. They cause tanning, aging, and cancer, and actually both cause cancer, A and B. But they range here from 290 to 320 nanometers. And they are shorter, and they don't go as deep as your UVA. So they just stop here at the lower epidermis. And but they are stronger and they're more damaging to the skin, and they can damage your eyes as well. They can cause cataracts, and you do have melanocytes in your eyes that give it color, so you can also get melanoma of the eye. So on a positive note, though, the UVB is contributes to our body's synthesis of vitamin D. And on your state boards, there has been a test that says what are the good things about the sun, and we're always saying the bad, but a couple of the good things is vitamin D, and also it has antimicrobial properties, so it does kill bacteria. And so the UVC has way more energy than A and B, and it does react with the ozone. So most of it is, the UVC is blocked here by our ozone layer. If it made it through our ozone, it would wipe out all plant and animal life. But we do have the human-made sources from welding torches and UV sanitizing bulbs that do kill bacteria and other germs. A lot of hospitals, medical facilities, before they perform a surgery, will turn on the UV lights to kill a lot of the bacteria and other germs before entering into the room. So there's the effects of HEV, which stands for high energy visible light, and that is the blue light from your computers, your TV, and your smartphone. They do say it does penetrate the skin more deeply than the UV rays, and they do damage collagen, hyaluronic acid, and elastin. And there is some evidence that this light may worsen pigmentation problems, such as melasma. Evidence tying to skin cancer and deep wrinkles, though they don't really have enough research on this, so I wouldn't worry about that yet. Melanin, that is designed to keep our skin healthy from the UV rays. But melanin can be altered or destroyed when large doses of UV are allowed to penetrate our skin. So I was going to show you this. Here we have light skin, and then of course heavily pigmented skin, and you can see the effects. So the lighter skin with mostly pheomelanin allows those rays to penetrate, where the darker ones, it doesn't really totally bounce off. They can penetrate too, but not as much. And the thing about it with the melanin is people with darker skin, obviously, they don't have nearly as high, melanoma counts as lighter skin does. But the UV rays does damage the darker skin types as well. It can cause hypopigmentation, and it can even damage collagen and elastin. So people with dark skin need to wear sunscreen as well to prevent that. So as an esthetician, we need to take precautions and let our clients know how important sunscreen is. We should tell our clients they should go visit their dermatologist once a year, annually, of course, for checkups. And especially if they do detect a change in coloration, size, or shape of a mole. And so I was going to show you this. Here is different kinds of melanoma. So we always follow the ABCDE rule. And so A is asymmetry. B for border. Is the border jagged and irregular? Asymmetry means if you fold it in half, is it the same on both sides? Color, multiple colors fading into one another. And then diameter, larger than a pencil eraser. And then evolution or elevation. So those are some types of melanoma and different things to look out for with your client. Also, home self-exams are a very effective way to check for potential skin cancer between your medical visits. So when you're performing those exams, your home self-exams, you should be advised to check for any changes of moles or pay attention to any new visible growths on the skin. And let your clients know that. Because it's really important as we're doing those facials on our clients, we need to be looking for any changes in those moles as well. Now, we're going to go into free radicals, and all the cells in our body like to be in a state of homeostasis, from individual body systems to microscopic cells. So molecules are in balance when electrons are paired. So I'm going to show you here. Here we have paired electrons, okay? And so when they're paired like that, those molecules are in balance. But molecules may lose an electron due to damage from the UV rays. So like for instance, the sun, when it comes into the skin, it breaks the two oxygen molecules apart and it creates one molecule, oxygen, holding all the electrons, the other missing electrons, and that becomes a free radical. And so those free radicals, what they do is they will go on and create more free radicals. And the best source of electrons for a free radical is a cell membrane. So they'll start attacking the membrane of your cells. And that creates a new free radical called a lipid peroxide. And so anyway, so inflammation in the skin is also creates free radicals. So anytime you guys see inflammation, that is a good sign of free radicals. And what free radicals do is they speed up the aging process and they create an unhealthy state. So free radicals, they have an unbalanced electrical charge and they are unstable, and through a chain reaction of cellular destruction, they steal electrons from those other molecules and they put themselves back in a state of balance, but then those other molecules are unbalanced. So here I was just going to show you, this is here called oxidative stress. And here's a normal cell, and then the free radicals have attacked the cell, and then here is a cell with oxidative stress. And so how do we prevent that? Well, we use antioxidants. So here in your textbook, it shows how they donate an electron back to this unpaired molecule here, or this molecule with unpaired electrons. So we donate the antioxidant. And some of the antioxidant vitamins are A, C, and E, and then there's enzymes in that are also antioxidants. So free radicals, what they do is they also cause cancers, and they attack the DNA of the cell. So prevention of free radical formation is really important for our cell survival. And again, those antioxidants are adding that electron back to there, donating that. And there's other things like proteins, enzymes like superoxide dismutase is a really powerful enzyme, and that helps with them. And also metabolites. They're all free radical or antioxidants, I mean. So our skin cells also have their own built-in antioxidants to protect against sun damage, but their ability to protect our cells deteriorates with sun exposure. Melanin is that pigment that we know from the cell melanocyte. So here is your melanocyte, and it does produce melanin in these balls called melanosomes. And we've talked about that in previous sections. Anyway, so the melanin pigment produced by tanning darkens the skin, and it absorbs the UV radiation, and it helps keep our cells below layers from damage. So skin health and environment. While the sun may play a predominant role in how our skin ages, changes in the environment are also greatly influenced by the aging process. Pollutants from the air, from factories, and from environmental other things like smoking and so forth. Those even play a role on our skin's health. And these pollutants affect the surface appearance of our skin, and they do change the health of the underlying cells and tissues by speeding up the aging process. So here I have a chart, and you can see all of these different things: poor nutrition, chemicals in the food, automobile exhaust, they cause free radicals, which cause cancer, aging, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and other things in the body. And so climate, humidity levels, and other environmental factors also affect our skin. So routine cleansing at night, that helps remove the buildup of all the pollutants that have settled on your skin surface during the day. So we want to apply daily moisturizers, antioxidants, growth factor serums like epidermal growth factor, peptides, sunscreen, even foundation helps to protect our skin from airborne pollutants in the environment. So think about your foundation. It's just a layer sitting on top of the skin, so that's also protecting. So did you know that many free radicals are related to oxygen molecules, and they are byproducts of use of oxygen in the energy cycle? In our bodies, we're always making free radicals. Again, the oxidative stress here. And it's kind of like when fruit decays. When you cut an apple and you see it turning brown, that's a pretty good sign of oxidative stress on our cells. That's how that looks. And like a car, when metal rusts, that's another thing when it's exposed to oxygen. Even our organs, they experience damage over time from free radicals. Okay, so now we're going to go into our skin health and our lifestyle choices. So what we put into our body significantly affects the overall health of our skin and our body. So this impact of poor choices, it can be seen on your skin. Smoking, drinking, drugs, and unbalanced diet with heavily processed foods, from fast foods, they do greatly influence the aging process. So it's our job as an esthetician to be aware of these habits that affect the skin and let the clients know that during your consultation. You want to stress to them the benefits of good nutrition, exercise, and a balanced lifestyle, and of course stress reduction. Did you know by inhaling just one puff of a cigarette, we create 3 trillion free radicals in your lungs? And free radicals attack our cells, and they produce a lot of inflammation. Now, smoking and tobacco use not only causes cancer, we all know that, it is linked to that, but it's also linked to premature aging and wrinkling of the skin. So nicotine in tobacco causes the contraction and weakening of your blood vessels and small capillaries that supply blood to the tissues, causing decreased circulation. So you're not getting as much oxygen to those cells. And eventually the tissues, they are deprived of that oxygen, and then it appears as a yellowish or a gray color, and it can make your skin look dull. And lack of oxygen and nutrients is what accelerates skin aging. And when your skin doesn't have oxygen, we call that asphyxiated skin. And there's a chart here that shows you all the different things that can affect your skin's health. And then here I also have different things that will affect and damage the DNA: smoking, factories, other things, sun, and all that. Now, some prescription or illegal drugs also affect the skin. Certain drugs have been shown to interfere with our body's intake of oxygen, thus affecting the healthy cell growth. Some drugs can even aggravate serious skin conditions like acne. Other effects include dryness, allergic reactions on the skin surface. Now, as more states move to legalize marijuana, the effects of inhaled cannabis, it should be a consideration in the skin's aging process as well. There is documentation about the benefits of skincare containing cannabinoids. However, inhaling marijuana has a detrimental effect on our skin. There is a correlation between marijuana and testosterone, and they can increase acne breakouts as well as deprive our skin of that needed oxygen, which will further break down collagen and elastin. Also, alcohol. Alcohol has a damaging effect on our skin. Excessive or heavy alcohol intake that dilates the capillaries and other blood vessels. And over time, this constant overdilation and weakening of the fragile capillary walls can cause them to expand and burst. And this causes a constant flushed appearance of their skin, kind of cuperose, and a red splotches in the whites of their eyes. Alcohol can also dehydrate our skin by drawing the essential water out of the tissues, making our skin appear dull and dry. And when dehydrated, our skin is in an inflammatory state, and that does accelerate the aging process. And remember, inflammation is always a sign of free radicals. Alcohol in excess results in the rapid and sustained increase in blood sugar, which causes inflammation and a glycation reaction. So, alcohol is metabolized in our liver and into different chemicals that are very toxic as well to those cells. So both smoking and drinking do contribute to the aging process on their own, but a combination of the two is even more damaging to our tissues. So this constant dilation and contraction of those tiny capillaries, and capillaries are only one layer thick. They have to be very thin because they have to do gas exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So this constant dilation and contraction of them, as well as other blood vessels, that's what causes that constant deprivation of oxygen and water to our tissues, and it quickly makes our skin appear lifeless and dull. And it is very difficult for the skin to adjust and repair itself to from this assault of that. So damage done by our habits, it can be very hard to reverse and even diminish sometimes, depending on the damage. Okay, so now we're going to talk about glycation. There is recent research that indicates that an intrinsic part of our aging process involves damaged structures and tissues, and they gradually accumulate in the body through a destructive process called glycation, and that is an elevation in our blood sugar. Glycation, that is the binding of a protein molecule to a sugar molecule, or the sugar to the protein, I should say. And that results in damage to our collagen and our elastin. So here I just want to show you. So here you can see there's protein molecule, and the sugar binds to it. And what it does, this is healthy collagen, and glycation breaks down that collagen by binding to that protein collagen. And then that accelerates our aging. So again, remember, glycation is the binding of a protein molecule to a glucose molecule, which is sugar, and it does result in the formation of damaged, non-functioning structures, and we call that advanced glycation end products. Now, glycation alters those protein structures and it decreases the biological activity. So, for example, glycation does contribute to aging of our skin, and I just showed you that. It does contribute to rhytids and hyperpigmentation as well. And a lot of age-related diseases like arterial stiffening, cataracts, neurological impairment are partially caused from glycation. Scientists, they have established that anything that causes a rise in our blood sugar results in inflammation on a cellular level. And when your blood sugars go up rapidly and continually, that sugar actually attaches to, like I said, the collagen, and it makes that collagen really stiff and inflexible. And so when collagen is cross-linked by the sugar, leading to that stiffness, that's what causes your skin to sag and show more rhytids. So when blood sugar is elevated, we're in an inflammatory state. So lack of sleep, that causes an elevation in a hormone called cortisol. And on days that we don't get enough sleep, we tend to crave carbs because cortisol raises the blood sugar and the insulin levels, and it sets up this craving. Even though it is essential, it is an essential hormone in our body, cortisol can have some negative effects. For instance, it can break down muscle tissue, thin the skin, decalcify the bones, and elevate your blood sugar. So glycation is an unhealthy biological process for a lot of reasons. And a healthy lifestyle and a diet without excess sugar intake, that can keep our body in balance. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is aging skin and hormones. So as we age, our skin does change. It is partially due to the shifts of the hormone balance. Hormones are those internal messengers for most of our body systems, and they are significant internal factors in the skin's appearance, the strength, and the health. Now, estrogen, that is present in both men and women, but it is predominantly, of course, in women. It is a crucial hormone for good health and the appearance of our skin. It is an anti-inflammatory, it's an antioxidant, and so it does a lot of good things for the appearance of our health, or the appearance and the health of our skin. Estrogen, like I said, also breaks down or helps keep our tissues healthy, and it repairs them too. This hormone is also responsible for maintaining the health of several areas such as coordination, balance, skin moisture, vision, bone and nervous system health. So estrogen has also been linked to memory and emotions. So the women's skin is continually in a state of change due to our hormonal changes from reproductive and the endocrine system, from puberty to pregnancy to postpartum period and perimenopause and menopause, of course. Estrogen levels are always fluctuating. And this does affect the skin's protective barrier, the epithelial external covering tissues, and the dermis. And as our skin ages, the capillary and other vascular walls, they begin to weaken and lipids are reduced, and your lymphatic system is even less efficient. Your glands slow down, and there's fewer fibroblasts affecting the collagen. And I was just going to show you this. So here again is young, healthy skin, and then you can see here everything is breaking down due to the aging process. And we do have a lot fewer fibroblasts in there. So the skin thins and collagen has less ability to respond to physical changes from aging and sun damage. Now, as estrogen is being depleted, our skin begins to lose its tone. So reduced glycosaminoglycans, which is hyaluronic acid, one of them, that means less moisture in the tissues. Your keratinocytes are reduced, slower cell mitosis, melanocytes are reduced, so that means less protective pigment, and cellular exchanges are reduced. Testosterone levels, they become more dominant as estrogen does decrease, and that will increase sebum production, pore size, and hair growth on the face. And this helps explain why mature women may experience adult onset of acne, and then of course they get the excessive facial hair growth. Sometimes we call it the menopause mustache. So now we're going to go into microcirculation. So microcirculation, that's the circulation of the blood from your heart to your arterioles, the small arteries, and then of course to the capillaries, and then to the venules, the small veins, and then back to the heart. So hormonal changes are one cause of microcirculation problems that are common in mature skin. And one problem is cuperose or telangiectasia. That is the dilation of the capillary walls. Now, as the endothelium, the wall of your capillaries, atrophies and it loses its elasticity, then those walls dilate and they fill with blood and sometimes burst. Other causes of vasodilation is hereditary, digestive problems, alcohol, smoking, sun damage, harsh cosmetics, trauma, pregnancy, excess localized heat, topical corticosteroids, inflammation, heat and cold fluctuations, even pressure. Like if people have sinus allergies and they're constantly wiping their nose, the pressure from wiping their nose can also potentially lead to permanent distension of those capillaries as well. So rosacea, we know that's a chronic vascular disorder, and it is characterized by varying degrees of skin redness, congestion of the skin. Acne rosacea, that includes papules and pustules. There's oily rosacea and there's a dry rosacea. And in some cases, rosacea can be caused by a little parasitic microscopic mite called Demodex. And Demodex are found in a lot of patients with, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but they do find it in patients that do have rosacea. And there's other factors, and we'll discuss those more when we get into Chapter 11, Diseases and Disorders of the Skin. So, hormone replacement therapy. Now, that's often suggested to balance estrogen for women experiencing menopause, but there is a link of hormone replacement therapy to breast cancer and other cancers. So, these therapies, they can be derived from animal sources and plant sources. So the estrogen from plants, we call them phytoestrogen. And I put that word up here, phyto means plant. So they're about 200 to 400 times weaker than the animal estrogens. And plants that provide those phytoestrogens include Mexican wild yam, soybeans, red clover, sage, hops, and black cohosh. That's another one. Flax. And by the way, just so you know, in your book, they misspelled that. It should be black cohosh, and it's Chohosh, not ASH. So look in your text there, it's printed wrong. And then St. John's wort, licorice root, and butcher's broom. So choosing a hormone replacement therapy program, that should be done with your medical professional. So it's not within the scope of an esthetician to make those recommendations. And in addition to the hormone balancing substances, we need good nutrition, and we have to have good skincare products and treatments, exercise, and a positive outlook. That will all keep our skin looking radiant at any age. And guys, there are studies that show that people with depression and a lot of stress, their skin does show the signs of that. So your internal health and all that comes into play. So here we are at the end of this section. There is some check-in questions. And the first one that I want you to do is, how do the Langerhans, the leukocytes, and the T cells work to protect your body? Then also the next one, describe the difference between UVA wavelengths and the UVB wavelengths and the UVC wavelengths. Also the HEV light and their effects on the skin. And then, how do antioxidants stop free radical damage? And then, what environmental influences affect our skin's health? And the last one, what happens to our skin during the aging process? So I need you to complete those questions. Again, send them either on the Oliver Finley app, or you can email them to me at krista@oliverfinley.com. Now that we finished this section, there is a do section underneath that you'll go into after the read section, and that is a matching question. So what you're going to do is you're going to, or not a matching, I should say, sorry about that. There's a watch, and it is on the skin health. So you're going to watch that, and then the do has the matching questions, and there's 2 questions. The first one has 5 terms, and the second one also has 5 terms. Once you finish that, you're going to do another do section, and that is product research case study. There is 18 questions that you need to complete. And so that'll complete that section. Then you're going to go into the chapter review folder, and that one has a do section with review matching. And again, there's on that one 2 test questions. Question 1 will have 6 words that you need to match, and question 2 will have 5 words. Then I want you to do the flashcards. So go through those. What I would recommend is make a little pile, a pile for what I know, what I sort of know, and what I don't know. And then study the don't know and the sort of knows a lot, and occasionally add in the ones I know, just so you can keep them fresh in your mind. Go through those flashcards. You can print them up. I'm pretty sure you can. And then after that, go through the study notes. And that is the slides on this whole chapter. It does have the questions on there. Answer those questions. I believe they're pretty much the questions that I went through, but answer them just to yourself and test your knowledge, see what you know. And then also there's a discuss essential discoveries. It's another it is a discuss section, sorry. And that is share 3 things that you learned in this chapter. I do want you to go ahead and type those up and email those, or put them in the Oliver Finley app and send those to me. There is a do section that says prepare for licensure. You don't have to do that, so skip that one. And then right underneath, there is the due section of the final chapter exam. And that, again, will be due at the very last day. I did send you a schedule with that. So there is 55 questions in the chapter exam. All right, that concludes Chapter 3, Physiology and Histology of the Skin. And hopefully that helps you. I know it is long, but there is a lot of really good information, and it is very helpful for your Idaho State Board exam. Good luck, everybody.